Good morning, wrestling fans. Welcome to PWR today for Thursday morning, April 29th, 2021. The man they call Meathead, brought in by Matthew Thomas. Matthew, good morning, sir. How you doing?
You made it sound like I was bringing you in, like I carried you into the room or something, which I'd be glad to do.
Oh, my God. Because nobody puts baby in the corner. I need you to pick me up in your arms and carry me off like an officer and a gentleman.
Yeah, no, I'll gladly. You know what? I'll do that for your parade next year.
Ooh, yeah, back-to-back years. Hey, let's talk about a parade for our sponsor. Our sponsor is collarandelbowbrand.com. Get yourself 10% off with the promo code PWR. Wrong code. Let's try that again. Get yourself 10% off with the promo code Linda K, K-A-Y. Get on over to collarandelbowbrand.com. Save 10%. Get yourself the latest in wrestling gear when we start hitting the road with WWE and AEW. Make sure you're wearing your collarandelbowbrand.com gear. Now, I say that because I want to segue myself. I set up my own segue there. Into WWE is apparently going to be running some test live events. We're going to speculate here, Matthew, but I believe WWE, when they're done with their run at the Yuengling Center in Tampa, I think they're hitting the road for TV and house shows.
Would not surprise me at all if you really look at kind of where the concert industry is trending now. I think WWE is going to follow suit shortly thereafter. Notice a lot of artists and stuff are announcing stuff for late summer, early fall. That does coincide with SummerSlam. Their deal's going to be up in August there at the Yuengling Center. So it would just make sense you get people in the building for SummerSlam and kind of use that as your break-off point for going back on the road. I hope that's what we see.
Absolutely. And again, good stuff. I mean, we are finally getting there. I don't care what anybody says. It is time for not just WWE people to get some money, not just time for us to go out and see events, but it's time for the people that work those things to get back to work. And let's get back to work by starting to run some shows again. Matthew Thomas, I have one more question for you before we get into a new segment we're going to do here. Where are the Raw Tag Team Champions?
They probably partied pretty hard after their win. And
wait, like Andrew WK?
Yeah, that's exactly what they did. So yeah, they're missing in action. But do you have an update? Do you have where in
missing
the world
in action like
Omos?
WCW team featuring Hugh Morris?
Do you have an update on where in the world is Omos and AJ Styles?
Like Carmen Sandiego?
Yes.
I could go all day. That's what she said.
You were a big fan of the Carmen Sandiego group, though, a cappella, weren't you?
Oh, yeah. You know what my new favorite band is? And this is going to be a reference that only parents that have kids that are, in that age group are going to get. My favorite band now is Soundcheck from the show Odd Squad.
I'll have to check them out. I'll have to investigate their catalog.
Yeah. Let's talk about where they were at. They're in Nigeria. Apparently, after WrestleMania, they flew, Omos and AJ Styles flew to Nigeria and been partying for 3 weeks, according to the WWE The Bump. I hope this Monday they're going to be showing up on TV and telling us what they've been up to. But Matthew, you think that they're going to be hanging out with family and friends at Omos?
Oh, that would be fantastic. I really want to see AJ. I almost said OJ.
OJ and Ron Simmons? No, not Ron Simmons.
Al Collins?
Al Collins, there you go.
If we see OJ on Raw next week, then something's gone completely haywire there. But no, I want to see AJ in Nigeria, and it kind of reminds me a little bit of. Do you remember when Seth Rollins had his stable with J&J Security and Corporate Kane, and he gave Corporate Kane that Hawaiian vacation?
Yeah.
I kind of want to. It was mainly still photos and stuff, but that's kind of what it's bringing back.
No, seriously, I need to see live footage, and I need to see AJ on top of everybody's shoulders because everybody's 7 foot tall there.
It's got me looking forward to Raw. I'm not going to lie.
And again, I thought Raw was entertaining this last week, but that's just me. So the Raw Tag Team Champions should be back on TV next week, Monday. I have a new segment I want to do here, and it is AEW Dynamite, technically related, but AEW altogether. If they're going to make rankings count and win-losses count, let us talk about the rankings. As of Wednesday, April 28th, yesterday, right before the show, we're going to talk about the men's singles, the women's singles, and the men's tag. Kenny Omega, the AEW and Impact champion, has only wrestled 4 times on AEW, but he's 4-0. Darby Allin, and this is before Dynamite and the main event, is 8-0, overall a 30-13-1 record. and he'll be defending against Evil Uno, or excuse me, he'll be wrestling 10 of the Dark Order, not Evil Uno. But the number one contender will open up the show on Dynamite, Hangman and Page. Number two contender, here's the news. Orange Cassidy is the number 2 overall competitor at a 6-0 record. Moxley 5-1, number 3. Pac is 4-0 at number 4. And then 10, boy, I did that twice, is 7-1. He's the number 5 contender right now for the AEW Championship. Your thoughts on Cassidy being ranked number 2 overall?
I think it's a major shortcoming of AEW Dynamite in the fact that we had to acquire this knowledge by going and seeking it out. And we're told about Paige, but we're not told about who the number 2 ranked person on that list is. And we've seen Cassidy quite a bit. Yeah. If you're going to make these rankings count, you've got to make it part of your show. And the simple fact that this is something that you have to seek out blows my mind. You're either going to have rankings or you're not going to have rankings. If you've got rankings, then that needs to structure the narrative and be a consistent thread in your product.
These rankings matter as well. The women's rankings. Hikaru Shida is 3-0 in 2021 as a women's champion. Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, is 8-1. She's ranked number 1 overall. Thunder Rosa is 8-2. Tay Conte ranked number 3 at 10-3. The Native Beast, now the Rose, 6-2, and their number 5 ranked competitor, Red Velvet, at 5-1. Britt Baker, DMD, has made these rankings a part of her storyline, and that is why this segment exists.
Not only has she done that, I feel like they've encapsulated these top 5 pretty well in the women's division now. None of those names surprise me, and they make a lot of sense based on who we've seen get TV time, and how everybody's featured there. So what I just said about the men's division, I feel like it's a bit of a differential there in the women's division. They've done a pretty good job with the addition of Britt Baker talking about these rankings in that division.
These rankings also looking pretty good, too. The tag team champions, the Young Bucks, are 3-0 as a team in 2021. The not retired Christopher Daniels and Francois Kazarian at 11-0 are the number 1 contenders. Number 2 contenders, Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus at 7-0. The Varsity Blondes, 9-2. The Acclaimed, 5-1. And then in 5th place, because they only had 3 matches, FTR. Talk about the number 1 contenders, Kazarian and Daniels.
Is there any coincidence there that they helped you secure the 2021 or 2020 PWR draft?
Oh, none at all. I think it was a really kind of synergy.
That's what it is. It's the team they call Meathead Rub is what it is.
Yeah, he got the team they call Meathead Rub, and now the number 1 contenders, will be at some point going up against the Young Bucks. Because they've said they're going to break up as a team if they ever lost. They've gone 11-0 since. So
maybe that's the next product we should feature in the PWR store is Meat Rub.
Who we could get to endorse that? Our friend.
Got his whole barbecue sauce line. I mean, that's your parlay into that industry.
Oh, no, not the barbecue sauce line. I'm talking about a female Impact wrestler. We can get her to promote.
Oh, that's right. That's right. She's in the meat business.
She's got a T-shirt that says, "I'll pull your pork if you rub my meat," or something like that.
Interesting. We might be coming across a gimmick infringement there, though.
I think there's some marketing in there that we need to work on. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about Dynamite from last night. The aforementioned number 1 contender for the men's championship, Hangman Adam Page, takes on the Machine, Brian Cage. He's the FTW champ with Ricky Starks on the outside. Attacked early, but the winner, upsetting Hangman Adam Page, is Brian Cage. I got to assume Adam Page drops in the rankings.
Yeah, and take notice of what's been going on here. Page has been featured 3 consecutive weeks to open up Dynamite. This was a match that if you go back and listen to last week's show, we talked about it. I think this went the way that it should have gone. Cage losing to Page here, especially after the initial beatdown of Page by Team Taz, I think would have made Cage look pretty weak. And Page and Omega that is a money matchup. I think that is going to be what really puts the crown on Hangman Adam Page, but I think it's going to take some time. I think you need to get Page kind of dropping down the rankings a little bit and eventually fighting his way back up, because when Omega and Adam Page happens, I think it needs to be Hangman Adam Page's crowning moment, and it needs to happen in front of people, as many people as you can fit in a building. So I think this is something that potentially happens down the road, maybe in the fall at the earliest, but it's going to need some time. It's going to need some build up. This was a good happy medium of featuring Brian Cage again, and then, you know,
and
getting
gives Brian Cage the chance to move up.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So no, I think this was good business here.
Yeah, and to be honest, I think you're absolutely right. The Omega thing, Omega and Hangman Adam Page should honestly push out to All In, and that's November.
Without a doubt, and this could potentially be AEW's first quote-unquote homegrown star. I know Page has been places prior to AEW, but he's somebody that has not been on the radar like a Kenny Omega
didn't have national exposure
prior to AEW, and this is somebody they really need to groom appropriately and make sure that run and that crowning moment happens when they can capitalize on it. Yep.
All right. I don't know about you, but I don't care that it's COVID, not COVID. I just can't be in the back of a limo with 8 other dudes. That looked way too uncomfortable to me.
In part of having a limo is so you can spread out, you know, and have plenty of space, not so it can be a clown car.
Right. Clown car. I mean, I've met a few clown cars in my day, but no, that it didn't look right, honestly. And I did find it kind of funny that Michael Nakazawa still had the headset on while he was driving. I mean, his gimmick headset.
Fantastic.
Yeah, it was fantastic. All right, let's talk about the tag team championship match. It's going to be the Bucks, Matt and Nick, taking on another set of brothers, Matt and Mike. Matthew, do you have that hashtag set up ready to go yet? Hashtag Matthew. What is it again?
Matthew to watch in 2021. And 2 contenders here. I both, after deep deliberation, had to say that neither one of these Matthews were Matthew to watch in 2021. But we did have two Matt slash Matthews in this match. So definitely on my radar. So you were
watching both Matthews, but they weren't Matthew to watch.
Yeah, they're on my radar for potentially 2022.
Okay. At the end of the match, after the Bucks win, here comes the not retired Christopher Daniels and Francois Kazarian on the ramp, and they cut a nice little program on the Bucks and says, you know what? Once you find some balls, we're going to take those belts from you.
You think maybe Christopher Daniels, was kind of thinking about the retirement thing, but didn't have some paperwork or something lined up, for the appropriate benefits, and he's like,
I think he's doing it for Meathead. He didn't know that the season's over.
That's exactly what tipped him over the edge. He was like, nope, I can't let that draft move happen.
No. And he wants to kind of rub it into Andrew Baydala, who he did pronounce his name correctly, though.
Well, if somebody discarded you like a pile of dirty trash for Edge, how would you feel?
Oh, no, I'd want vengeance. Like Ricky Vaughn after he throws the baseball into the locker when he says, I'm going to take it and stick it so far up your, I
mean, he's got to feel like an armload full of refuse just dumped in a corner.
Folks, if you don't know what we're talking about the PWR draft, which was we aired on the SNE network, our friend Andrew Baydala's show, and we announced the winner of the 2020-2021 PWR draft, which is the man they call Meathead. Even though there were shenanigans with the accounting firm of Dewey, Cheatham & Howe, Andrew Baydala had picked up Christopher Daniels and then dropped him due to he retired and picked up Edge. Andrew lost all points because of that. Did not win. Thank you to the fallen angel Christopher Daniels, who decided to video into the program and make sure it was clear he was never retired. Therefore, Andrew had to negate all the Edge points that he won. The winner of the draft, the man they call Meathead.
Came down to the wire, but it's nice to see that that the team reviewed it, that the right people got involved.
We got to put that video out on our socials now too. I haven't talked to the team yet, but we got to get that video out there.
Oh, absolutely. And I did watch the show, to see that portion. I was a little bit confused though, because I thought a Weekend Update normally airs in the middle.
That was not Saturday Night Live.
SN what?
SNE, not SNL.
I misunderstood you.
But it's ironic, though, because I thought I was going to watch Andrew rip up a picture of the Pope.
He did get pretty hot when he saw Christopher Daniels appear. I will say that.
He got hot and tried to share my championship. Let's talk about Penta El Zero Miedo taking on freshly squeezed Orange Cassidy, the number 2 ranked singles competitor. The winner of the match, Orange Cassidy, and with the loss by Hangman Adam Page, is Orange Cassidy the number 1 contender for Kenny Omega's belt?
It's very possible. I think it'll be a nice, entertaining Dynamite match. I hope it's not built up to a pay-per-view match. Nothing against Orange Cassidy. I absolutely love the gimmick. But Orange Cassidy is not necessarily, it's not the type of character that you necessarily even build to a number 1 contender to make a serious threat to the title. And, I think he has been possibly one of the most entertaining people on the AEW roster. But if he is in title contention, I almost view it as all right, well, let's try this because I don't know what else to do right now.
I was absolutely just riveted and glued to my television set for the parlay between the Inner Circle and the Pinnacle face to face. The Inner Circle coming out with security detail, bodyguards on Harley Davidsons. Wow, wow, wow. And again, just the words back and forth. Sean Spears, Santana Ortiz, Sammy Guevara, MJF, FTR, and Chris Jericho all speaking. No speaking out of Wardlow and Hager, but after that, that was an amazing, amazing build to a match that now I want to see more.
Yeah, and for the most part, you had everybody getting mic time, which was great for everybody involved. And this has been booked like a main event, and that's what we're going to see.
Eddie Kingston taking on Michael Nakazawa, who his only weapon is apparently a laptop, and he still wears that headset even in the ring when he's wrestling. So pretty funny stuff. Nakazawa knew what he signed up for. Kingston orders out Brandon Cutler to the ring instead. But here comes Moxley. Moxley went after Omega. There is a match set. It's going to be, it looks like Kingston and Moxley versus Omega, and who is he going to have as a partner again? I think, who's Omega's partner?
Did they officially announce it?
It's
Nakazawa.
So it's Omega and Nakazawa against Kingston and Moxley next week.
I think this is good in the fact that we get to see Kingston and Moxley here. I think it potentially further hurts the AEW title picture because I'm very confused as to the way that the AEW title has been placed on TV for the last 5-6 weeks. We had the Omega Rich Swann deal. It never got mentioned on AEW. So for somebody not watching Impact, you're just thinking that Omega is just carrying around this belt. They're peripherally talking about the rankings and whatnot, but the Omega run in a lot of ways has made that belt seem less important. It's being treated like a prop that Omega carries around with his others. And you see Omega and the rest of the elite laughing, joking around week to week. But my goodness, you're just not talking about the importance of that title or having
the tag team belts mean more in that group
or
in the
any title feud. And honestly, I mean, and I get it that they want it to be defended frequently and it's the network title and this, that, and the other. But I mean, what we're talking about with Paige, we've seen pretty much the same thing for the past 2 or 3 weeks with Darby Allin and the TNT title closing that show. And I mean, that has been the company's major title here recently. Mm-hmm. It's odd. We're in a period now where, and I know we don't talk about them head to head like we did. Now they're on 2 different nights, but if you're kind of comparing the NXT product and the AEW product, just very unusual times for both of those companies' champions. Karrion Kross,
champion,
has been missing in action for the last several weeks. Omega's there, but there's never any one-on-one feud or one-on-one, feud over that title being discussed. And it comes across as strange.
Christian Cage addresses Taz and says that Taz was great in his day, but now is surrounding himself with guys who will be great and wanting to live off their glory. And he tells Taz, look, you're not going to live off of my glory. So if that means I got to run through each one of your guys one at a time, I'll do it. So I think we got the answer from Christian Cage. He will not be joining Team Taz.
Yeah, and I think this is good use of Cage, and we'll get to it a little bit later as far as, what we're seeing with Sting's interactions, but you are using these veterans for programs with young talent you're trying to elevate. And I think that is where AEW's making a good move. And you go and you look at, say, what TNA did, and you look at Hogan Sting feuds in TNA, and while it was made for some special moments on some pay-per-views and Bound for Glories, they are actually pulling away from having the established talent feud with each other to try to get that excitement and actually using them to elevate younger talent, which I think is the correct recipe.
Chris Statlander featuring Freshly Squeezed Orange Cassidy against Penelope Ford with Superbad Kip Sabian. Here's the deal you want to take. One, obviously, Chris Statlander wins the match, but Kip Sabian is in the building. That's the thing you need to take away here. Now, we'll come back to that in a moment. We'll circle back to that. The Nightmare Family, The Natural, Dustin Rhodes, Billy Gunn, and Lee Johnson versus The Factory, QT Marshall, Aaron Solo, Nick Komoroto, and carrying along with them, Anthony Ogogo. That Nick Komoroto is big. Holy smokes. And, dude, he reminds me of, like, The Butcher, just a younger, hairier version.
Yeah. No, he's got a good look to him. He really does.
Yeah, he's a powerhouse. The match really didn't have a winner or not, because as QT Marshall was headed back towards the bus they came off of, that was their entrance. This was pretty cool. I don't know if they made it like this on purpose, that you could see into the bus. The announcers did call it seconds before he opened the door to the bus. We're like, isn't that Cody up there? Yeah, it's Cody. They're mentioning it probably because you can see Cody, but there it was. Cody was waiting on the bus and went after QT Marshall. A big brawl outside the bus. I love the build to that whole thing.
Is that a refurbished Lex Express?
Possibly.
Yeah, it was cool. And to see a shot on the top of the bus for psychological purposes, I don't know why Aubrey followed him up there, being that it wasn't a match of any sort. And if you're really going to try to separate two people on top of a bus, it's probably not the place to do it. But it was a cool visual.
Yeah. All right. So I said we would circle back. Miro ambushes Kip Sabian. Where have you been? Where have you been? And he beat the crap out of him, and he slammed the door shut on Kip's hand. So Miro got his revenge on Kip, and he said he's been looking for him, and he's going to beat him. Miro, I see somebody that will be shooting up that singles ranking pretty soon. Do I see a championship yet? No, but he will be shooting up the levels there. Your thoughts on Miro finally getting a hold of Kip?
They're doing a great job course correcting Miro now. They're really making up for some lost time. I think the hair back to black is really fitting for heel intimidating Miro. And this was exactly what they needed to do. And, looking at the rankings, I think you brought it up last week, but, looking at your champions across the board, you've got to face TNT champion in Darby. I think Miro Darby is probably where this needs to head. That needs to be Miro's first stop. And my goodness, I mean, you've got somebody in Miro that for the longest time was one of the most over people in the WWE. Rusev Day, I was in New Orleans for WrestleMania 2018, and my goodness, Rusev Day just filling Bourbon Street. They really, really had something there. And, that was going in the direction more of a comedy character there. But, just as an intimidating potential heel, I think there's all the potential in the world there. He's just got to be put in the right place, and they're gradually getting back to having him in the right place.
Let's talk main event. TNT champion Darby Allin with Sting taking on number 10. This time I didn't say Evil Uno. Accompanied by the Dark Order. Now, Sting out there. The Dark Order's out there. The Dark Order are a face group, so they're not going to interfere in this match, but Sting is still out there. Yeah. Just, as a rub. It was Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page kind of sniffing around. I think that's the next feud for Darby Allin. Again, we got to get the cages all involved. I'm telling you, I will pound this desk until the day I die. I need a Page Cage versus a Cage Page match.
No, absolutely. And I think it's doing everybody involved in this a benefit, having them, mixing it up with Sting. And I think it's really, really good use of Sting. I was watching this tonight. Do you think eventually down the road, we eventually get the blow off to this Darby versus Sting? Do you think that's coming at some point?
It's years away yet.
Yeah.
Next week is going to be Blood and Guts. This is live on TNT, as long as AEW stays on TNT with the pending NHL deal to get settled out yet. But AEW Dynamite next week live on TNT with Blood and Guts. Don't forget AEW Dark Elevation will be every Monday, and then AEW Dark every Tuesday. They've got 3 different days of content airing. One of them on the big show, 2 of them on the YouTube channel. They have got a lot of content going. So
yeah, and I really need to give some of those shows a go to see if maybe the ranking structure is discussed a little bit there. Maybe that's where you've got some of the rankings build going on there. But yeah, they're doing a lot of business off air. It's a very interesting concept.
Well, that is AEW Dynamite for last night. Tonight, we have got Impact Wrestling. We will talk to Linda Kay tomorrow morning after her big run at the old OVW down in Louisville, Kentucky. So Linda Kay and myself tomorrow morning to wrap up the week. For Matthew Thomas, I'm the man they call Meathead. Hey, thanks for stopping by. So long, everyone.